solid beats bringing the heat.
Hello everyone, this is Nino and you're watching Nino's product reviews. Today we're going to take a look at the Foscam C1 successor, the C2. This is a 1080p plug and play camera. You've seen my Foscam videos, and if you haven't, just go back and do so. It's a very nice camera, and as you can see, they already started packing them kind of like phones, which is cool. You know, when you look at this package, you expect to see a phone inside, but actually it is the tiny camera. Now this camera, unlike some other ones, does not have any pan and tilt functionality, yet it is mostly designed to be in a static position. It can also hang from the ceiling, for example. You see you got these tiny screws here, you screw it up and it's standing. It's a pretty nice camera, and the beautiful thing about it is that it is really so small. It doesn't take much space. But let's take a look at what's inside these small packages here. Let's see. Hold on a moment. It's always annoying for me to open these because I never have nails. It wouldn't be fitting for a guy to have nails. Alright, we have a power brick here and some screws so we can attach it to the wall, for example, if we needed to. And then there's this tiny one here, and I suppose it's going to be the charging cable. Hold on, let me open this one. Yep, it already looks that way. Then another great thing about this camera, it actually uses a micro USB cable, so you could technically start it even with say a phone charger. That's all. You don't actually get a small LAN cable, but that's not a problem because these LAN cables that are always delivered with this stuff are never good. And if you really want to use these cameras in a LAN setup, you're gonna have to use your own cable. Mostly they're short to begin with, and quality is quite bad. So that's nothing that I'm gonna cry about. Now this particular camera has been purchased from the German Foscam provider, so it's in German. That's not an issue. If you order it from a site that is somewhere in an English speaking country, you are going to get an English manual, obviously. Now these new stickers, I like them. It's something that we didn't used to see in the past. And of course we have the CD with the software for the camera. So this is what's in the package. It doesn't look like much, but it's more than sufficient for you to set up this camera without any issues. Let's take a closer look at the actual functions of this camera. I'm going to log in with this generic account and we're going to see what greets us. And the first thing we'll notice is the fact that the camera offers a wide angle lens, which gives us a lot of view of the whole scene. And this is very important because the camera itself does not have any pan and tilt functionality. You've seen it does not mechanically move. So once you position it, that's it. It's going to stay there. You have an outdoor mode available, which will allow you to take a look outside if you need to guard your garden, for example. But keep in mind that this camera does not actually offer any kind of water resistance, so you don't want to actually expose it to the nature itself. You have different streams, which will be very useful in case you need to, for example, you access this stream from a phone, say, with slower internet. The wide dynamic range will allow you to harvest light better. I don't know how to describe it. Essentially what it does is it enables your camera to work in low light conditions, and as you've seen, once I activated it, it actually looks a lot brighter. You have the zoom in function as well as the mirror and flip functions. Now the mirror and flip functions that I showed you a second ago, they're useful if you, for example, mount the camera sideways or upside down, stuff like that. The zoom is not optical, it is strictly software, so that means that it's not gonna look very good the deeper you zoom in, but it is a functional thing that you can use in case you'd actually need it. All in all, these are the basic functions available to you. Now let's move on to the settings. You're going to be greeted by the setup wizard. There isn't much to say. It's just what's going to happen the first time you start the camera and connect it to your PC. You have your status bars with the different things about whether the alarm is on, whether you have an SD card. This is also not very interesting to look at. The camera time here is very important. I strongly advise you to sync with your PC and not use the server. People have reported that when they use the server, for some reason their email function didn't work that well. So just sync with PC and everything's gonna be cool. It doesn't really make much of a difference anyway. Now if you go into the wireless settings, you will notice that essentially you can choose different wireless networks from here. sorry. If you are like me, you've used the cable to set this camera up, and now you want to set it up to work with a Wi-Fi. This is truly the best and fastest and easiest way in my personal opinion. So I recommend you do it this way as well. The mail settings are very important in case you want your camera to send you different pictures once an alarm has been triggered straight to your email. If you are like me and you don't have a dynamic IP, you will not be able to use the DDNS function, which is provided by Foscam. So this will be the closest thing to a DDNS, because no matter where you are, you receive pictures. Now in the video section, we see that we have again two streams, a main stream and a maximum quality, and the substream, which is here lowered slightly, but you can lower it additionally if you want. All of these are in any case adjustable. The substream is functional again if you, for example, need to access this from a phone or from somewhere where you don't have good internet. You don't want to waste a lot of bandwidth. The on-screen display is clear. Privacy zone is a very interesting function. It allows you to cover up part of the recording. For example, what I can think of would be if you wanted to record your garden and you don't want to record your your neighbor. Sorry again. What you would do is you would cover up the neighbor's part, and that way you're safe. He can't sue you for violating his space. Now, as you can see here, the only thing that you can see from here is my foot hanging out there. I'm sorry about that. I just wasn't paying attention. And the dynamic lighting here is a bit too extreme. I removed it now. And yeah, again, this is a very useful feature for some. For others, it will just not be so important. It's there, you can use it if you want it, and that's good. I'm gonna reset this to no again, and we're gonna move to the snapshot feature, which essentially makes your safety camera. I'm really sorry, I have a dry throat. So you have the possibility to take several pictures with an interval as wide and as far as you want it, so to speak of, and at different times. So you can really decide which one you want to do. In any case, it's a useful feature, but for me it seems like a waste. I always set it up to take pictures while it activates an alarm, you know, while an alarm is triggered. You can of course use the IR LED schedule, which will allow you to change when the things turn on and off. I wouldn't touch that though, because the camera has a very good system of recognizing darkness and will do that perfectly on its own. The one key alert will basically allow you to activate all the other detections instantly without having to deal with them. You will need to set them up once before, like this. If you enable each individual one, like for example the action detection, what's going to happen is you can set up camera sound, PC sound, email, take snapshot, all these things. Now the camera sound, this camera has a better microphone and a better speaker built in, so it sounds a little better and it definitely records better. It makes a very loud noise when someone's within the range and the alarm is activated, and the fact that it has a better microphone also enables it to hear better. We'll get to that in a moment. Now here you have three different zones that you can basically order it to guard. This gives you the additional possibility of just, you know, selecting just specific parts of an area to be susceptible to motion alarm, which is pretty cool. But again, if I personally, when I use it, just let it guard my place, you know, so I don't select individual parts. I straight out tell it, if something moves, kill it. Well, you know, that would be the case if we had a turret mounted to it, but you know what I mean. In any case, you've seen this function, and the sound detection is very similar to this one. Essentially, the difference is that here it's gonna be paying attention to noise. This makes it a good baby phone though, because if you set the sensitivity to high like here, you can basically make it send you an email if you're far and you left your baby alone at home, although I don't know why the hell you would do that, but it would send you an email and you would know, aha, the baby's crying. So you would storm back and take care of the kid. Now when we go to the recording tab, you will notice that you have the location, the SD card is the location in the FTP server. Now SD card is obvious, FTP server is pretty much obvious too, but how I do it, I just have a flash drive in my router, and that is what I use as an FTP server. It's pretty sweet, and of course it will simultaneously record on your PC if the PC is on. Now the pre-recording is a very useful feature that I love. It's essentially a 5-second, in this case at least 5-second loop, which is being constantly recorded. As soon as there's something that triggers an alarm, these 5 seconds are attached to the video afterwards. So what you will see is 5 seconds before somebody enters the room, for example, and then what they do. It's pretty useful. I kind of like it. I prefer to know how it all began, so to speak of, instead of it suddenly beginning. I don't know, I think it's better and I like it a lot. Now local alarm recording, you've seen it people wonder sometimes what that is. It is the same thing like the other ones. The only difference is that when it's recorded on your PC, you can set up a different length of the video and stuff like that. The scheduled recording is again exactly that, but I don't have a local ARM set up, so you can't have it scheduled either. That's why it wasn't available. Other than that, we have the reboot patch, etc. These things are very typical. All in all, the camera seems to have a lot of functions, and they're very easy to use. People think this is a difficult thing to set up. I personally don't find it difficult at all, but if you have any difficulty, go search for the iClever Foscam channel, and they have some tutorials that help you a lot. So while we're looking at these recordings here, I'm going to tell you what I think of this camera. I think it's pretty nice. It's quite simple, really. You have a lot of functions. You have a lot of good streams that you can set up for this camera. You have a lot of options when it comes to detection. It will offer a lot of security. The only thing that this camera really doesn't have is one, well, the only two things as a matter of fact is an actual optical zoom and also the pan and tilt function, but due to the wide angle lens, you're still going to be able to cover a huge space, so you can guard very efficiently with this camera, no matter if it's in the dark or in a well lit area. Due to the many functions, you can set it up to record in different time modes, in different depending on what you want, whether on noise, for it to start recording when there's noise or when there's movement. There's nothing missing here except the two features I mentioned. So if you're interested in this camera, be sure to check out the link below, where I'm going to provide you a link from which you can buy the camera directly. And that will be it for this review. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if that was the case, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. And if you want to support my YouTube channel further, you may click on the Patreon side on top, or you can also use the Amazon link that I've provided in the description to buy something within 5 minutes after clicking on that link. It really helps me, guys, and I'd be really grateful if you did so. In any case, thanks for watching, and I hope I'll see you on the next video.